Welcome to your class on head and shoulders patterns. Let's get straight into the rules. It's called a head and shoulders pattern because it has two shoulders and one head. So the head is always slightly higher than the two shoulders, but it breaks out to the downside. Now the rule with the head and shoulders pattern is you want to try and join all 3 points if possible, or just the 2 over here. But when it breaks out from the middle head to the neckline. And if it breaks out by 10 near the neckline, then it should break out by 10 when it breaks the neckline. But we all know that that never really happens, so we will aim for 50%, but you will also do your own analysis to make sure that on that currency pair, that is the least that you can make. Then you have got an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Again, you want to try and join the points from the center head to the neckline. That is how much you were promised. So if that is 10 points from the center head to the neckline, then you should get 10 here, but once again, we're only going to aim for 5. Now, this is how head and shoulders patterns form. There's a bit of a controversy in the trading industry where they see triple tops. Triple tops are exactly the same as head and shoulders patterns. There's literally no difference between the two. So we've got 3 spikes, because your head and shoulders pattern is 3 spikes, except they're all on more or less the exact same level. Once again, you're just going to take center head to the neckline, and if that is 10, we are going to aim for 5. That's 5 over there. And then you've also got the inverse triple top. Now, triple tops are fairly rare to find. But when you do see them, at least you know that it is more or less the exact same thing as a head and shoulders pattern. So again, from the neckline to the center head, to the tip of the center head, that is how much it'll break out by. So if that is 10, then when we break out, we are going to aim for 5, or whatever your analysis tells you. So let's look for an actual head and shoulders pattern in the market. This would count as a head and shoulders pattern because you're looking for spikes. So that's 1 spike. There's your spike that is higher. And that is your second shoulder. So you want to kind of get a gauge to see, okay, which would be best to use as the neckline. So from here to there, that looks about decent. Unfortunately, we cannot join this one because it is way too far. So we're just going to settle for these 2. So this is our neckline. And we can see that it triggers us and it ranges, and then only it breaks out. But let's see if it breaks out by 50%. So that's 642. So that's 321. From your neckline all the way to the bottom, it definitely gives you your 50%. Now let's look for another one. Hopefully this time we can find an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Ah, there we go, inverse. Now these patterns are popular on certain currency pairs. So you'll find that they work better on certain currency pairs than others. So your job is basically to find those currency pairs and then trade them. So over here, let's try these two. Okay, that looks like a decent neckline. Is there any way we can extend it backwards? Nope. Okay, well, I suppose, no, that's not going to work. So we want to use this here. That is our neckline. So from the neckline to your head, that is 566. So that will be 283. So from my neckline, yeah, you get about the exact same amount that you need. Now, this is basically how you spot your head and shoulders pattern. Now, when you are doing your assignment, make sure that you add your text onto your head and shoulders pattern. So we said that that was 566. And that the breakout, let's calculate that breakout one more time. So breakout from the neckline, 434. So we want to put that there. And if we can see that we are in a negative, in this case we were, make sure you put your ellipse so that we can see that you are actually looking at your candlesticks to see if you are in a negative while you are plotting these patterns. So over here, because you would have been triggered, you would have been taken down, you would have been in a negative. So make sure that you highlight that point so that you clearly see that you are in a negative. Okay. Now let's look at how these patterns fail. Now, on certain currency pairs, when a head and shoulders pattern fails, what happens is it'll trigger you into the market, and you'll find that it'll come back up, and just before the head, it'll turn around and go to hit that 50% mark or even more. Now, most people will be frightened by this, but this is just another pattern forming on its own. You just need to recognize it. So on certain currency pairs, if you scroll back, you'll be able to see that your head and shoulders sometimes break out like this here. So in this case, what you would do is over here, you'd probably be triggered into your sell already. So when you see this, because you have studied this currency pair and you know that this is how it breaks out of its head and shoulders patterns, you will then place another buy in addition to your sell. Remember, you don't want to go too crazy with the lot size because there is always a chance that it might go against you. So you want to place a buy. So this is your sell that you were triggered in. And you want to place a buy. And then you basically want to exit your buy when you start seeing price going down or just after it has slightly passed their second shoulder. So this will be your take profit or your exit, one of the two. And then at that point, you want to sell again. But this time, when you sell, you will be getting everything from your sell down to the take profit you had originally set for your first sell. So you are taking advantage of this opportunity. Whenever there is a deviance in the market according to a pattern, it is always an opportunity to make more money. So you want to try and always ask yourself, how can I make the most money out of what I am seeing on the market? Now it also works inversely and with a triple top. So you just basically want to get a gauge of it. But if your double top, sorry, not your double top, your head and shoulders pattern, if you are in a situation where price goes up to pass your head, close the trade and accept the loss. So if you are triggered and price goes up and passes your head, close your trade and accept the loss. Unless you have studied your currency pair and you know on this specific currency pair, it does this and I can expect it to come back down again. But if you do not know that, once it passes the head of your head and shoulders pattern, accept the loss and let it go. Alrighty then, that is all for head and shoulders patterns. See you in the next class.